The Beechcraft Super King Air family is part of a line of twin-turboprop aircraft produced by Beechcraft. The King Air line comprises a number of model series that fall into four families: the Model 90 series, Model 100 series, Model 200 series and Model 300 series. The latter two models were originally marketed as the Super King Air family, but the Super was dropped in 1996. The Super King Air family has been in continuous production since 1974, the longest production run of any civilian turboprop aircraft in its class. It has outlasted all of its previous competitors, and as of 2009 the only other aircraft in its class is the Piaggio Avanti. As of December 2009, the B200, B200 GT and the larger B300 are the production models. Special mission derivative versions of these models are also available for order. The Beechcraft 1900 regional airliner was derived from the model B200 King Air. Development: Super King Air 200. The Model 200 was originally conceived as the Model 101 in 1969, and was a development of a Model 100 King Air. The Model 200 had essentially the same fuselage as the Model 100, with changes to the rear fuselage to accommodate a new T-tail and structural changes to allow higher maximum pressurization. Apart from the T-tail, other changes included Pratt & Whitney Canada .6A41 engines rated at 1015 shp instead of the 805 shp engines of the Model A100 then in production, and a wing of increased span and extra fuel capacity. Overall, the 200 was 3 ft10 and longer than the A100, with wingspan 4 ft3 and greater, containing 60 US gallons more fuel. Maximum takeoff weight was increased by 1,000 lb. After protracted development including extensive wind tunnel testing of the design, the first prototype flew for the first time on October 27, 1972. A second prototype took to the air on December 15 the same year. 3 production aircraft were also built in 1972 and delivered to the U.S. Army. These 3 were designated Model A100-1s by Beechcraft and were given the military designation AU-21J. The first of some 400 T-tail King Airs to be ordered by the U.S. Armed Forces. The 200 received civil certification in December 1973 and the first civil delivery took place in February 1974. In 1976, Beechcraft developed the Model 200T, a version configured for aerial surveying or reconnaissance. The prototype was created by modifying a Model 200 aircraft, constructor's number BB-186. The modifications included changes to the belly aft of the wing to allow photography with a vertical camera, provision for a surveillance radar in a pod under the fuselage, dome-shaped windows on the sides of the rear fuselage to allow observation directly below the aircraft by occupants, and a 50 US gallon usable capacity fuel tank on each wingtip to increase the aircraft's range. Customers could specify any combination of these modifications when ordering a 200T. All 200Ts were Model 200s modified at the factory and given new constructors' numbers. The next model to appear was the Model 200C in 1979. This version had a large cargo door on the LH side of the rear fuselage with an Airster door similar to the Model 200's door built into it. The door opening was 4 ft4 in high and 4 ft4 in wide, allowing a large range of items to be loaded into the cabin. The Model 200C found favor with many operators who fitted them out internally as air ambulances. The 200C was built from scratch rather than as a modification of the Model 200. The Model A200C military version was developed concurrently. In 1981, a Model 200C was modified as the Model 200 Carrots, fitted with the same wingtip fuel tanks as installed on Model 200TS. There was only one 200 Carrots, but it led to other aircraft after an updated version of the Model 200 entered production. This updated and improved version was the Model B200, which entered production in 1981. It was fitted with PT6A42 engines, still rated at 850 shp, but with improvements that resulted in greater aircraft performance. Other changes included increased maximum pressurization and changes to the cockpit layout. The Model 200C gave way to the Model B200C the same year, with the first Model B200T and Model B200CT being modified from a B200 and B200C respectively, the following year. Commencing in 1984, the B200, B200C and their derivatives were fitted with a revised landing gear retraction mechanism, actuated by hydraulic rams powered by an electric pump installed in the LH wing. This replaced the earlier electromechanical retraction system of gearboxes, drive shafts and chains and sprockets that was a throwback to the twin Bonanza. At the same time, the propellers fitted were changed from 3-bladed Hartzells to 3-bladed Macaulays. 47 B200CS built that year were delivered to the U.S. military, with dozens more of a similar standard ordered in subsequent years, but not given official civil model designations. A total of 14 B200s were produced in 1989 and 1990 in a 13-seat high-density configuration with a belly cargo pod. These were marketed by Beechcraft as a commuter airliner under the designation Model 1300. Customers for this version included Mesa Airlines. The propeller installation changed again in 1992, when Beechcraft started offering the option of having 4-bladed Hartzell or Macaulay propellers, or 3-bladed Hartzell propellers. The 3-bladed Macaulay propellers were no longer available. From October 1995, Beechcraft offered an updated B200 with electronic flight instrument system avionics. This was marketed as the B200 SE Super King Air. The following year the Super name was dropped from all marketing and advertising. In October 2003, Beechcraft announced another avionics upgrade for the B200, the Rockwell Collins Pro Line 21 Suite. The B200 remains in production, with a total of 13 built in 2009. The B200C is available for order. In January 2009, 2 B200CS were delivered to the Royal Flying Doctor Service of Australia. The 2 B200CS were the first examples delivered in about 3 years. On May 21, 2007, during the 7th Annual European Business Aviation Convention and Exhibition in Geneva, Hawker Beechcraft introduced the Model B200 GT updated version of the B200. The B200 GT is fitted with a new model of PT6 engine developed specifically for it by Pratt & Whitney Canada. While still rated at 850 shp, the new PT6A52 develops maximum power to an even higher altitude than the A42 it replaces, thus further improving aircraft performance. The B200 GT and B200C GT with large cargo door were certified by the Federal Aviation Administration on November 16, 2007, and by the end of 2009, 97 B200 GTs had been delivered. Hawker Beechcraft has elected to use new constructors' number prefixes for the B200 GT and B200C GT. B200 GTs are being built with the prefix BY, and while no B200C GTs had been built as of December 2009, they will be delivered with the prefix BZ. Model 200 military variants. The United States Army, Air Force, Navy and Marine Corps have all flown versions of the Super King Air 200. As noted above, some have been off-the-shelf civil versions, but the majority have been purpose-built for the military and were treated by Beechcraft and the FAA as a separate series, the A200 series. A significant minority of military versions are known purely by their military designations, with no FAA model designations being assigned to them, although they do have basically equivalent civilian model counterparts. The military designation varies from service to service, but most are called C-12 Huron or UC-12. These are used for personnel transport. The Army also operates the RC-12 Guardrail series of aircraft for military intelligence missions. The Canadian Forces took delivery of 2 second-hand early production Model 200 Super King Airs leased from Wood Air in 1990. These were given the designation CT-145 under the CF's identification system and were used as multi-engine trainers, replacing Douglas C-47s. One was subsequently returned to the lessor and a third Model 200 placed into service in order that the 2 aircraft used would have the same cockpit layout. The 2 aircraft were replaced by 8 civilian-operated 90 Model King Airs in 1995. The King Air B200 entered service with the Royal Air Force in 2004 as a multi-engine trainer, replacing the Jetstream T1. PD290, the King Air 200 design proved to be sound, so Beechcraft considered a jet-powered version in the mid-1970s. The first prototype King Air 200 was re-engined with Pratt & Whitney Canada JT15D turbofans in overwing nacelles. Given the designation PD290, the aircraft was flown in this configuration for the first time on March 12, 1975. Beech did not pursue production, and the last flight was made on September 30, 1977. Beechcraft subsequently purchased the production rights and type certificate for the Mitsubishi Mu-300 Diamond design in 1985, producing it as the Beechjet 400. Super King Air 300/350. The 200 series proved so popular that Beechcraft began work on a successor, with the Beechcraft designation Model 300 and marketed as the Super King Air 300. The B200's airframe was cleaned up, and even more powerful engines installed in redesigned cowlings, with MTOW increased to 14,000 lb. A Model 200 was modified to develop the updated systems to be used on the new model and flew in this configuration on October 6, 1981. The first flight of the prototype Model 300 took place on September 3, 1983 and deliveries commenced the following year. Because not all nations would then allow an aircraft of this type to be certified at an MTOW greater than 12,500 lb, the Model 300 LW was also developed at the same time, limited to the lower MTOW. 19 examples of a special version of the Model 300 were delivered to the FAA in 1987 and 1988. The first two were conversions of standard Model 300s, while the remaining 17 were purpose-built. Since they were delivered, the FAA has used the fleet to check the extensive network of navaids in the United States. 200 and 300 series King Airs have been used for similar duties in several other countries, including Australia, Germany, Hong Kong, Norway, Sweden and Taiwan. By 1988, Beechcraft had begun work on the replacement for the 300. The fuselage of the 300 was stretched by nearly 3 feet with 2 extra cabin windows on each side and winglets added to the wingtips to create the Model B300, introduced in 1990 and initially marketed as the Super King Air 350. MTOW was increased again to 15,000 lb. As the same regulatory situation that led to the development of the 300 LW still existed, that model continued to be produced until 1994. Like the 200 and B200 before it, a version with a large cargo door was developed, the Model B300C marketed as the Super King Air 350C. The first deliveries of this model also took place in 1990. In 1998, the ultra-quiet active noise cancelling system, made by Elliott Aviation, was added as standard equipment on all B300s. In October 2003, Beechcraft announced that it would deliver future B300 and B300C King Airs with the Rockwell Collins ProLine 21 avionics suite. The B300 model is still in production today, while the B300C is available for order. 4 were built in 2007 and Hawker Beechcraft announced on November 11, 2007 that it would deliver 5 to Saudi Arabia in 2008 for use as air ambulances. On June 13, 2005, Beechcraft announced at the Paris Air Show that it was developing the King Air 350ER version of the B300, an equivalent to the earlier Model 200T and B200TS of the 200 series. Changes include an increase of MTOW to 16,500 lb, provision for surveillance equipment in a bellypod, the landing gear of the Beechcraft 1900 to handle the increased weight and provide ground clearance for the bellypod, and extra fuel capacity in the engine nacelles to increase range. On November 11, 2007, Hawker Beechcraft announced that the 350ER had been certified by the FAA. In October 2008, Beechcraft announced updated versions of the B300 series, the King Air 350i, with improvements to the passenger cabin. The manufacturer claims that the noise level and overall comfort of the King Air 350i, 350 Air, 350IC and 350ICE are now competitive with those of light jets. The cabin of the B300 series has been updated with controllers in the passenger seat armrests that dim the LED lights, darken the windows and control an iPod dock and a high-definition video monitor. The cabin also includes universal serial bus ports, AC electrical receptacles and fold-out tables for each passenger and the 8 seats fitted. Deliveries commenced in December 2009. Model 300 military variants. One special Super King Air B300C variant was built for the Swiss Air Force, with a modified belly to allow aerial photography and a large observation window in the right side aft fuselage. And given AC No with a different prefix to other B300CS. Hawker Pacific in Australia purchased 8 B300S between 2003 and 2005 for lease to the Royal Australian Air Force. These were subsequently modified as Navigator trainers. Hawker Pacific later leased another 3 B300S to the Australian Army, replacing B200 and B200C model King Airs. The RAAF has also utilised King Airs as an interim replacement for the DHC-4 Caribou transports of No. 38 Squadron. The Royal Australian Air Force now operates 16 aircraft from both No. 32 Squadron RAAF and No. 38 Squadron. The Japan Ground Self-Defense Force operates 6 B300S in the reconnaissance and communications roles under the designation ELA-2. The aircraft were delivered between 1998 and 2004 and include the last B300 built without the Proline 21 avionics package. Beechcraft announced on March 6, 2007 that the Iraqi Air Force had ordered 5 King Air 350ERs for delivery commencing late in 2007. Hawker Beechcraft exhibited a King Air 350ER at the 2007 Paris Air Show and at the Royal International Air Tattoo the following month. Photos of the aircraft, actually a modified 2005-built B300, show that visual features of the King Air 350ER include a belly pod, and enlarged engine nacelles compared to the nacelles of standard B300 King Airs. 4 King Air 350ERs equipped for ISTAR missions over Afghanistan originally were ordered for the RAF. This was increased to 6 in July 2013. This variant is called the Shadow 1 in RAF service. 4 more King Air 350s replaced the Royal Navy's Jetstream T2 observer trainers in 2011 and in this role are known as Avenger T1. The Royal Bahamas Defence Force operates a single B300 on maritime patrol and reconnaissance duties. The United States Army has contracted for a number of King Air 300s to be acquired on the second-hand market and modified as ISTAR aircraft for use by Task Force Odin in operational theaters. As of late 2010, 11 such aircraft are registered to the U.S. Army. 2 Canadian registered and owned King Air 300s, configured in the same manner, have also been contracted for modification and upgrade programs. Numerous aftermarket modifications and upgrades are available for 200 and 300 series King Airs. One company offers a wing front spar reinforcement kit for 200 series aircraft and a modification to replace the electromechanical landing gear retraction system of early-build aircraft with an electro-hydraulic system. Another company offers a high-performance leading-edge nacelle wing lockers, ramar recovery system, quiet turbofan propellers, high flotation gear doors and dual aft body strakes. Another company offers a modification for the entire King Air line that entails reworking and extending the entire nose to house a baggage compartment as well as the avionics normally found in the noses of King Air aircraft. While another offers winglets, similar to those of the B300, for 200 series and other 300 series King Airs. A modification to install a forward-looking infrared camera in an extended nose in B200 King Airs is available. Other modifications available are to convert standard 200 series King Airs to configurations equivalent to the Model 1300 or Model 200C and B200C King Airs, and to modify B300S to allow more passengers and baggage to be carried. Operational history: Super King Airs of the Argentine Navy saw active service during the Falklands War of 1982, used on nighttime transport missions between Argentina and the islands. A B-300 was used as the presidential transport aircraft of Paraguay between 1991 and 1994. On June 24, 1996, the 5,000th King Air, a Model B-300, was delivered. Less than 9 years later, on January 24, 2005, the 6,000th Beechcraft King Air, B-200C No. BB 1884, was delivered. Beechcraft also delivered a special 40th anniversary King Air in 2005. The aircraft featured ruby-colored exterior paint and real rubies in a special logo in the cabin. The Royal Flying Doctor Service of Australia is a long-term major operator of B-200 and B-200C King Airs as air ambulances. In all, about 4,200 series King Airs have served with the RFDS. One was destroyed in a fatal crash near Mount Gambier, South Australia on December 10, 2001, while others have been retired and replaced by newer King Airs. As of January 2009, the RFDS operates 34 200 series King Airs throughout Australia. A large number of military King Airs have been retired, and of these, many have entered civil service with law enforcement and other government organizations in the United States, such as state police and sheriff departments. Others are now being used by the Missionary Aviation Fellowship and subsidiary organizations. Beechcraft intended that the Super King Air would be replaced by the Starship, a very advanced aircraft that proved to be a commercial failure due to its inferior performance compared to promises, and high purchase price. While most of the Starship fleet has been scrapped, the King Air continues to sell in healthy numbers. Variants, in roughly chronological order, the 200 and 300 series King Air variants and production numbers are: Model 200, prototypes and initial production version, 858 built including those converted to Model 200 TS. First prototype was converted to PD-290 jet aircraft, and first 3 production aircraft were delivered to U.S. Army as Model A100-1s. Model A200, first model purpose-built for U.S. military, 75 built. Model 200T, version with optional wingtip fuel tanks, optional dome-shaped side windows in the rear fuselage, and modified belly to allow aerial photography. Prototype and subsequent aircraft converted from Model 200s and reserialed. 23 delivered. Model A200C, second military model built for U.S. Navy and USMC with cargo door in L8 rear fuselage, 90 built. Model 200C, civil equivalent to A200C, 36 built. Model A200CT, third military model, built for U.S. Army with cargo door and wingtip fuel tanks of Model 200T, 93 built. Model 200 Carrots, civil equivalent to A200CT. 1 aircraft converted from Model 200C. Model B200, current baseline production model. Updated version of Model 200. 1,157 built as of the end of 2009, including those converted to Model B200 TS-12 aircraft delivered as Model 1300s. Later models fitted with Proline 21 avionics, Model B200C, version of B200 with cargo door, available to order. 112 built as of the end of 2009, of which 47 were built for the United States Air Force's C-12FS. Later models fitted with Proline 21 avionics. A total of 65 other aircraft, similar in specification to the B200C, were built for the U.S. military. Model B200T, version of B200 similar to Model 200T. Aircraft converted from Model B200S and reserialed. 23 delivered. Model B200CT, version of B200C with wingtip fuel tanks. All aircraft converted from B200CS and reserialed. 8 delivered, to the Marina de Guerra del Pira and Israeli Air Force. Another 2 similar aircraft built for the Israeli Air Force are without an official designation. Model B200 includes new Hartzell composite scimitar propellers and third-party winglets and ramar recovery system. Can operate from shorter runways than the B200 GT. Model 300, 2 versions, The standard Model 300 with increased MTOW of £14,000 and the Model 300LW with MTOW limited to £12,500 to meet the aviation regulatory requirements of various countries. 247 built including 35 Model 300LW and including 2 Model 300s modified and another 17 built specifically for the FAA for use in nav-aid calibration. Model B300. Stretched model with 2 extra cabin windows each side of forward fuselage and winglets on wingtips. In production as King Air 350i and King Air 350i 687 built as of the end of 2009, including 42 extended range versions delivered as 350ERs. Later aircraft fitted with Proline 21 avionics. Model B300C, version of B300 with cargo door. Available for order as 350IC and 350ICE are 35 built as of the end of 2009 including 1 for the Swiss Air Force with modifications for aerial surveillance and 5 aircraft modified prior to delivery with underwing hardpoints and delivered as 350CERs. Later aircraft fitted with Proline 21 avionics. Model B200 GT, updated version of B200. Current civil production model. A total of 97 are built as of the end of 2009. Model B200C GT, updated version of B200C. Available for order, but none built as of the end of 2009. Model B300, updated version of B300 with interior upgrade. Certified in December 2009. Model 1300 commuter, B200 configured as a regional airliner, with room for 2 crew and 13 passengers, fitted with 2 overwing emergency exits instead of the standard model's single overwing exit and an optional 455-pound belly cargo pod. A nose baggage compartment provided by relocating avionics from the nose to elsewhere in the aircraft. A total of 14 were built in 1989 and 1990. Operators. More than 6,600 aircraft of the King Air line have been delivered and are operated by corporate, commercial, military and special mission operations in more than 94 countries. Almost 53% of the aircraft delivered have been from the 200/300 series family. Military operators, Algeria, Algerian Air Force, Angola, People's Air and Air Defense Force of Angola, and Argentina, Argentine Naval Aviation, Argentine Naval Prefecture, Australia, Royal Australian Air Force No. 32 Squadron No. 38 Squadron. Bahamas, Royal Bahamas Defence Force, Bolivia, Bolivian Air Force, Botswana, Botswana Air Force, Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso Air Force, Cambodia, Royal Cambodian Air Force operated a single Super King Air in 2001. Canada, Royal Canadian Air Force, Colombia, Colombian Air Force, Colombian Army, Ivory Coast, Carte d'Ivoire Air Force, Ecuador, Ecuadorian Navy, Egypt, Greece, Hellenic Army, Honduras, Honduran Air Force, India, Border Security Force, Aviation Research Center, Indonesia, Iraq, Iraqi Air Force, Israel, Jamaica, Japan, Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, Malaysia, Malta, Armed Forces of Malta, Mexico, Morocco, Netherlands, New Zealand, Royal New Zealand Air Force, No. 42 Squadron NZAF. Pakistan, Pakistan Air Force, Paraguay, Paraguayan Air Force, Peru, Peruvian Navy, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, 41 Squadron SAAF based at AFB Waterkloof, South Korea, Spain, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka Air Force, Sweden, Swedish Air Force, Switzerland, Swiss Air Force, Thailand, Royal Thai Army, Togo, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, United Arab Emirates Air Force, United Kingdom, Royal Air Force, Royal Navy, Eurofleet Air Arm, Uruguay, Uruguayan Navy, United States, United States Air Force, United States Army, Venezuela, Yemen. Yemeni Air Force, former operators, Chile, Chilean Air Force. An example passed on to Chile's Directorate for Civil Aviation in 2010. Hong Kong, Royal Hong Kong Auxiliary Air Force, Ireland, Irish Air Corps, civil operators. The King Air is used by many corporate and private users. It is also popular as a light transport liaison aircraft with both government and non-government organizations. It is also used by air taxi and air charter companies. Accidents and incidents: February 21, 1980, Advance Airlines Flight 4210, a Super King Air 200 operating a passenger service for Advance Airlines suffered an engine failure on takeoff from Sydney Airport. The aircraft impacted a seawall and exploded while attempting an emergency landing, killing the pilot and all 12 passengers on board. May 24, 1981, a Super King Air 200 of the Ecuadorian Air Force flew into a mountain with the loss of all 9 on board including Jaime Roldacudes Aguilera, the President of Ecuador. August 28, 1983, a Beech 200 Super King Air broke up in flight and crashed near Addervale, Western Queensland, while on a night charter flight, killing all 11 oil rig workers on board and the pilot. The investigation concluded there was insufficient evidence to determine the cause of the in-flight breakup. February 17, 1993, the commander of Turkish Gendarmerie, Air Fitlis was killed in the crash of a Model 200 Super King Air of the Turkish Air Force. The reason for the crash is still unknown. September 4, 2000, after departing Perth, Western Australia, the pilot of a Model 200 Super King Air failed to respond to ATC after the aircraft climbed above its assigned altitude. It continued to fly across Australia for 5 hours before crashing near Burketown in northwestern Queensland, killing all 8 on board. Dubbed the ghost flight by the media, an investigation concluded that the occupants likely became incapacitated due to hypoxia. January 27, 2001, a Super King Air 200 carrying members of the Oklahoma State University basketball team crashed in Colorado. February 26, 2004, President of the Republic of Macedonia Boris Trzaskowski was killed with 8 others in the crash of a Model 200 Super King Air operated as a transport aircraft of the Government of the Republic of Macedonia. October 24, 2004, Hendrick Motorsports aircraft crash. A Super King Air 200 crashed miles short of the runway at Blue Ridge Airport in Martinsville, Virginia, killing members of NASCAR team owner Rick Hendrick's family, including John Hendrick, president of Hendrick Motorsports and NASCAR Busch Series driver and owner Ricky Hendrick. This became known as the 2004 Martinsville aircraft crash, as the passengers were on their way to the Martinsville NASCAR race. March 6, 2013, AB-200 King Air crashed in Peru, killing both crew and all 7 passengers on board. The aircraft became ensnared in power lines and crashed to the ground in the La Libertad region. The 7 passengers were employees of a mining company. Specifications. Data from Jane's All the World's Aircraft, Airliners.net, General Characteristics, Crew, 1 Euro 2, Capacity, 13 passengers, Length, 43 feet 9 inches, Wingspan, 54 feet 6 in, Height, 15 feet 0 in, Wing Area, 303 FTA², Empty Weight, 7,755 pounds, Max Takeoff Weight, 12,500 pounds, Power Plant, 2 Pratt & Whitney Canada .6 A42 turboprops, 850 shp each, Performance, Maximum Speed, 339 miles per hour at 25,000 feet, Cruise Speed, 333 miles per hour at 25,000 aft, Stall Speed, 86 miles per hour IAS, Range, 2,075 miles with maximum fuel and 45 minutes reserve, Service Ceiling, 35,000 feet, Rate of Climb, 2,450 feet per minute, Wing Loading, 41.3 pounds FTA², Power Mass, 0.14 horsepower per pound, see also. Related development, Beechcraft Queen Air, Beechcraft King Air, C-12 Huron, Beechcraft 1900, aircraft of comparable role, configuration and era, Cessna 425, Cessna 441, Embraer AN-121 Xingu, Mitsubishi Mu-2, Piaggio Pages 180 Avanti, Piper PA-31T Cheyenne, Pilatus PC-12, Evector EV-55 Outback. Related lists, List of active United Kingdom military aircraft, references, notes. Bibliography. External links, Beechcraft King Air page, Hawker Beechcraft finds unexpected market with King Air 350ER, Hawker Beechcraft King Air 350 aircraft.